They already found you. Your name, your address, what you paid for your house, and what it's worth today. All of it is sitting on public record right now, available to anyone with a Wi-Fi connection and a reason to be angry with you. And that's not a glitch. That's not a data breach. That's the system working exactly as designed. The second you sign those closing papers, you didn't just buy a house, you filed a public announcement that said, here's what I own, here's where I live, come find me. Most people have no idea this is even happening. My guest today does, though. He's an estate attorney who's spent 25 years helping everyday homeowners, not just millionaires, not just corporations, but everyday homeowners quietly disappear from that public record using one private document that leads anyone searching for you straight into a dead end. No court, no drama, no $30,000 Rockefeller package from some guy who won't stop saying the word irrevocable. He's got a whiteboard. He's not afraid to use it. And this used to cost $500 an hour just to ask about it. You're getting the whole thing right now.
This is the Epic Real Estate Podcast. Contrarian takes on money, housing, and policy without the guru nonsense.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go. All right, please help me welcome to the Epic Real Estate Show, longtime friend from KKOS Lawyers, Mr. Mark Kohler. Mark, good to see you again.
Oh, good to see you. I feel like I'm amongst family, my tribe, being here with you. I love the topics you teach on, and this is what I built my entire career on. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, me too. The reason I asked you to come through is that the last month has been wild here on the channel, and there's been a bunch of questions on the topics that we've been discussing around, protecting your deed, protecting your equity, keeping your stuff private, just general, watching out from all the bad guys. Let's stay safe from all the bad guys that are out there. I've learned so much from you over the years. I know enough where I'm dangerous and sometimes a little dangerous to myself. My audience is really smart and they have some amazing questions and the comments have been filled with them. And some of them are over my head. In fact, most of them. So I was like, you know what? Rather than me trying to pretend, let me just get someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And so that's why I invited you today.
Thank you. I will do my best.
Yeah, perfect. I kind of got all these comments grouped into like these 10 major sections. But I think on this first section, as you and I were talking before we started recording, this could be the whole thing that we begin with. And then we'll come back, be a recurring guest, recurring partner, and we'll just tackle these things as they come up. Sound good?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Perfect. So the first thing that came up was, what is a trust and why should a homeowner even care about one? That's the beginning. And so for my audience, the word trust, it's come up like 100 times, but a lot of people really don't even know what it is or how to explain it. So we're going to go over what is a trust, like literally what is it, who's involved, and why would somebody, even with a paid off house, why would they even want one? Because I think a lot of people hear trust and they just kind of think it's for the elite, it's for the rich, but we know that's not true. So that's what we'll tackle today.
No, you bet. We'll keep this very conversational. I'll do my best to answer. We'll start kind of 30,000 feet and zoom in, and we're going to get to you people the answers you need, and you'll learn more about me and some of the things we're doing. I've got some resources for you that are free and easy to listen to and read as well. A trust is a private document. You typically never ever record a trust on public record like you might an LLC or a corporation. So this private document is going to designate a trustee, which typically does need to be on public record when you record deeds and title to your home in the trust. It needs to have a name and it will say, comma, trustee. So back in the good old days when privacy didn't matter, I might be the Mark and Patty Kohler Trust, comma, Mark and Patty Trustees. No privacy at all. And then you record your home in that. Some of you listening have maybe done that. But the trust itself is private. It's not recorded with the federal government or the state. You're going to appoint a trustee and a beneficiary, which is private. So I can have a trust, the Green Sky Trust, trustee Mark Kohler, and then in my document, it could be a beneficiary, my dog or my cat or whatever. I've set up a trust for a cat. It was for this lady Hensley, what was her name? That she left everything to her dog. I think it was millions of dollars. Anyway, the trust is private, but you're going to designate a beneficiary, which could be you during your lifetime. That would be that revocable living trust. There's so many different types of trusts. We'll get there. Last point is there's a grantor. The grantor is the person creating the trust, putting some asset in it, designating a trustee and a beneficiary. And then the purpose of the trust could be widely varying, which we'll get into, but that's it. So I could be the grantor and make Matt, you the trustee, one of your kids the beneficiary, but I'm the grantor, not the trustee. So they can all be the same or they can be different people.
So they can't all be the same. What does it do for you?
It depends on the type of trust. Now, the most common trust is the revocable living trust. And it's the most common for good reason. It serves several purposes. I may even ask if it's okay with you to go to the whiteboard because I love being on the whiteboard. And we've built for clients what I call the trifecta, where everything flows down into your revocable living trust. Now, there's other trusts out there, irrevocable, land trust, charitable trust. We'll get into domestic asset protection trust, but the revocable living trust, I really think, is the foundational trust. And maybe that's the best example to use. What is the purpose? What are your thoughts? Can we go to the whiteboard?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's put this revocable living trust in context and unpack it. So in my concept of a trifecta, the foundation is your RLT, Revocable Living Trust. Now, we're going to get into the privacy piece of this, maybe asset protection piece and protecting financial assets along the way, whatever. We'll get there. But at the foundation is our RLT, which you get to name. We'll talk about trustees and all that good stuff. But this trust is going to be the foundation of all of your financial and physical assets. And on the left side, we're going to put operational assets. And on the right side, put more physical passive income or assets. When we look at this, it's very, very common. You guys will love this. I do this for clients with just starting out in their 20s or starting over in their 60s or $100 million clients, like everywhere in between. This is a beautiful structure. Over here, you might have an LLC, a sole proprietor LLC, or an S corporation, and you're running a business. And this business is an important asset in your life. You could be a consultant, you could have employees, it could be a restaurant to a private practice, an engineer, a landscaper, but this business is owned by your trust. And down here at the bottom, your 1040 tax return receives all that income, but your trust is actually the owner. It holds the stock or the membership to your company, your LLC or whatever. On this side, you might have an LLC that owns a rental property. You might have an IRA, a 401k. You might have a crypto wallet. You might have some gold or silver. You could, in an account, a custodial account for an IRA could own gold or silver. You might own it physically. Then you could have a financial brokerage account, like a Fidelity or something. And then, of course, the beauty here is you could have your home, and your home would be on title to the trust. Your beneficiary, your 401k would be the trust. Your crypto wallet would be owned by your trust. The LLC would be owned by your trust. You may have life insurance. And that life insurance beneficiary is your trust. And if you're married, this is a joint revocable living trust. And your trust owns everything. All roads lead to China, and all roads lead to your trust. And this is the trifecta, Matt.
Got it. All right. It makes sense. I get it.
And the question would then be kind of like, well, why? Why do I do all this? Like, why do I have this trust? The first primary benefit of this, and you may think it's privacy, and for some of you, it could be number one, but the real number one purpose is that if something happens to you, you could even be in a coma. Who's going to run and operate your assets? And if you die, where do all these assets go? And if you don't have a trust, 50% of Americans don't even have a will. If you don't have a trust, everything is public. The government can stick their hands in there and get it. You're going to go through probate. There's going to be notices online and on paper. And anybody that's pissed or thinks you owe them money or your kids want to fight or whatever, it's going to court. And this is where the lawyers jump into this. It's a multi-billion dollar industry is probate court. And probate judges and probate lawyers. If you had a trust, you don't even need all that. It's a whole industry for people that don't plan. But if you have a trust, it's private. There's no probate. You're gone. You're in a coma, you and your spouse, whatever. But once both of you are gone, a trustee steps in, sells the business, sells the house, keeps the farm, keeps the land, keeps the crypto, whatever. You get to decide the rules of the game. It's your Bible. It's your trust. And when you're gone, your trustee carries out your wishes for your beneficiaries. And these beneficiaries could be children under age 18, children that act like they're under 18, brothers, sisters, parents. Where does this money go and how do we distribute it? And so that's the number one benefit of a revocable living trust. While you're alive, you can control it, you can change it. I had this client who get drunk every Christmas, call me up the next day, hey, all right, this kid's out, no more, this kid, you don't get anything. And then this kid's in, and next Christmas, he called me again and we change it. And the kids would be like, whatever, Dad, I do not care. But it was like, you just have fun with that. But you can change it during your life, whether it's your trust or a joint revocable living trust. If you get married, you merge the trust. If you get divorced, you reset the trust. But it owns everything so that when you go away, it's structured. That's the number one reason.
This might be an overgeneralization, but that's the death benefit, right?
Fair. Yeah, fair. Now, if you're in a coma or problems, financially out of the country or whatever, presumed missing, whatever, the trustee can go in and collect your Social Security check, pay your bills, operate this, do that. You're going to have a whole package of a living will, pull the plug if I'm a vegetable, maintain my assets, pay, whatever. So I had a trust for my mom who had dementia. My dad knew, he passed away before her, that my mom would need support. And so my brother and I were her trustee, and we ran her financial affairs for close to 10 years. She wasn't gone, but she was there, but couldn't run her own. And so the trust protected her, kept her finances organized from predators and people that could try to steal her assets or equity in her home. The trust created a veil of privacy and a veil of organization. So important.
So the privacy, this would be the primary or one of the big significant life benefits, right?
Yeah, I put privacy as number 2 benefit, because when you go buy your home, you're going to get a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac mortgage, whatever. Your name's going to be on title. You would typically then transfer the title, the property, into the trust. If something happens to you, the trustee can take care of the home, sell it, whatever. This is where privacy comes into play. Like I said, 20 years ago, it may have been Mark and Patty Kohler Trust. My wife's Patty. But now we would name it the Green Tree Trust, the Blue Sky Trust. Trustee, Newco LLC. Oh, I want to know who the trustee is. Go to the state website. Oh, Mark designed the LLC that no one knows who runs this LLC or who owns it. Well, who's the trustee? I don't know, serve me with a lawsuit. You got discovery going? You got a complaint? Oh, I'll call the law firm that said it. Sorry, attorney-client privilege. Dead end. So if we set up the name of the trust properly and set up an LLC, proper LLC, and we don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to do it, but the proper shell to be the trustee that you still control. Now on public record, any real estate, raw land, home, ranch, farm, primary residence, we can set up one or more trusts theoretically, but at least your primary trust is going to be your first line of defense, where on public record, we don't even know you're the trustee.
So it's a dead end every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. When you record a trust, it's all public record. Is the beneficiary recorded? Is that public information?
Ooh, I like what you said. Do we ever record the trust on public record? No.
Don't.
We're just recording that the title is held by this lot.
That's the
Right? No one ever knows who the trustee, beneficiary, grantor of the trust is. But if the trust takes title, that's when it pops up on public record. Again, this could be an investment account, a brokerage account. It could be the membership at a country club. It could be anything that's going to be on public record. You would use the trust for this. And this is where privacy can go to another level, where you're saying, well, I don't want the title of my vehicles in my name. I want them in the name of an LLC that no one knows who the manager or owner of that LLC is, or the trust. So we could start putting utility bills in the trust name, titles to vehicles, RVs, all these different assets where if you start doing public searches on Google, you're like, what the hell? I don't want my name out there. Sorry, I'm going to just plant the seed now, Matt. Sometimes we have to hit a reset. We say, okay, I need to do a consult here. Find out where my exposure is. Find out what my assets, what people can see. And I'm going to choose a date and time where I'm going to cleanse this thing. I'm going to have a new trust, a new LLC or whatever, and just start hiding things so that when public record, people can't find it. And maybe oftentimes the government even. We can be very careful on what we disclose to the government.
So, gosh, I wish I was prepared, because I responded to a comment today from someone that said, I loved your video about the trusts, and just for fun, I went and researched my neighbor's house who I was on a trust, and I was just kind of dug through to see if I could find his name, and I did find his name as the beneficiary. So does that mean they recorded the trust then?
I think the person that wrote that note meant they discovered that the neighbor was the trustee of the trust. Like the trust was probably an innocuous name, 532 or whatever, but then it would have listed a trustee. You would never list beneficiary on public record. You have to list trustee. That's record. Now, for some of you out there, you have to know there's over 2,500 counties in the United States. All these different county recorders have a lot, sometimes very different rules on what needs to be shown on the title and on public record. The description of the property, can an LLC be the trustee, blah, blah, blah. And so one rule for one of your listeners that writes a comment in their county, Suffolk County, New York, could be very different than King County up in Seattle. So you kind of have to play this game of also jurisdiction. Where do I live? What's the HOA want? What's the county want? What's the state want? Now we got this new federal real estate report from FinCEN coming out. This was just 2 weeks ago. What does the Fed want? So we got all these little rules to play. And so your plan could be very different than my plan. And what assets I have are going to be different than what assets you have.
It's like all the real estate questions that come in. The answer is always begins with "it depends," right?
Yeah, but you know what? We all have the same toolbox. Mm-hmm. And this is where scam artists will say, oh, we have the silver bullet, this or whatever, and you do this. everything's solved. It'll be 10 grand or whatever. And you buy it and then you're like, bullshit. It's crap. But in reality, people come up with all these funky names for things, but we all have the same toolbox. We all can use certain types of trusts, certain types of LLCs, and certain strategies with title and ownership. And the trick is what does your asset profile look like? You go meet with your dentist every year. You should be meeting with that asset strategist, privacy attorney to go, okay, I bought something. I sold something. One of my kids got divorced. One of my kids did this. Oh, I did this. Someone died. There's always a little adjustment. So if you're on top of it, you're adjusting this trifecta every year and manifesting the future. Oh, I want to build this. I want to buy that. I need more cash flow. So it's all intertwined.
We were talking earlier about to discover what it is that you actually need. And so what you do at your company is you offer a discovery call, and we set up a place for the Epic audience to go to and find out which way they do need, and the location and the geography and what their assets are, what they want to hide and how they want to go. Maybe they want to do the full reset, right? So that's over at protectwhatsmine.com. And that'll get you straight to Mark's office. And then he'll give you some information there and find out what you need, and then kind of give you an idea as what there is to do next. And that'll be your call to make.
And I want to warn you about a couple of things too here in a moment of what to look out for. We need to talk about irrevocable trust and land trust here for a minute. If you go to that website and you're like, okay, what's Mark Kohler offering per se? We have a law firm. You can have a free discovery call with one of our new client administrators. They're going to help decide what path is best for you. It may just be a 1-hour consult. It may be kind of this asset protection privacy consult where we go through everything and build you a trifecta. Maybe it's a couple grand, but you're going to spend multiple hours with a real lawyer on Zoom, attorney-client privileged, building a plan. And then you can execute that plan at a time frame that works for you. So if any of you, thank you, Matt, for promoting that point. If any of you want that discovery call, I think it's a great place to start.
Or the amount of requests that I get for people asking for referrals to different things that we talk about. It's just, I need a full-time customer service person to handle those. Sometimes I just don't get to them all. So anytime I've got the opportunity to speak to everybody at the same time, that's what I want to do. And I think you're the best in the business. That's why I invited you here. So you go to protectwhatsmine.com. Let's move on. So now we've got the trust, right? We got the basic trust. We use the Revocable Living Trust as the foundation of what the trust is and what it does and why you want one. There is this concept that came up in episode a few weeks ago, the Irrevocable Living Trust. Now that sounds kind of scary, and I remember learning about that. I'm still foggy there. What's the difference, and why would you want one over the other?
If you've been grinding for deals and coming up empty, you're not alone. That's why we created a way for frustrated investors to finally get cash flowing income property without the hassle. Go to frustratedinvestor.com. And now, back to the show.
And great question, Matt. Let's talk about the irrevocable trust and get it on the map here. First, let's build upon this concept, but I may have not said that enough. The revocable living trust, you can modify and change it anytime during your life when you have capacity. So it's a revocable living trust. You can change it. If you're married, we typically require both husband and wife to agree on the change. One can't just go change it from under the other, but it does become irrevocable when you're both gone. Once you're both passed away, it can't be changed. And this is the third benefit of the revocable living trust is you can put all these rules in here and create buckets for the different kids or beneficiaries. It could be a brother, sister, a charity, a mom, a dad, whoever. And it says, hey, if this kid wants to go to college, I'll cover that. Oh, this kid wants to buy their first home, we'll divvy out money up to this point. Oh, this one wants to get married. We have a rule for how much you can have for your first marriage. And oh, but you have to have a certain grade point for this kid. Oh, this one, if you're on drugs when we die, it's held in the reserve until you get your crap together. And with all my kids, I did a rule of money, a third of it comes out at age 25, a third at 30, and a third at 35, because the kids are going to grow up financially rather than just waste it. If I left $1 million, which happens every day in America, with people with no plan, because they turn 18 and you're dead, you got life insurance, or you're home. If they're 18, state law says your kids split it and they get it at age 18. If I had $1 million at 18, I wouldn't be here today. I'd be maybe on an island in the Caribbean working on a boat, but don't let me think too long about that. But anyway, now, so the beauty of the revocable living trust is it does become irrevocable once you're gone. Now, actually for my mom and dad, one thing I did is common in second marriages is you'll say you have an ABC trust that says, okay, when one of us dies, this part is irrevocable. The surviving spouse, the bonus dad, bonus mom can't change this part. That goes to kids number 1. Oh, but then we had kids number 2. Okay, that can be changed by the surviving spouse because those are his or her kids. Oh, and then we have bucket C, our kids. What's the rule there? And so you can get really creative and make parts of it irrevocable to protect what the dynamics are in your family. Now, here's what I want to warn all of you out there about the irrevocable trust while you're alive. There's some half-truths that sound really good and sexy, but can have some really bad impact. But people will sell this because the half-truth sounds so cool. And that is, oh, you want an irrevocable trust where you get all the benefits, but you really are not the trustee or owner. So if you get sued, no one can touch the trust. It's an irrevocable bequest into this trust where you get the benefits, kind of a lifetime beneficiary, but you really don't own it. You just get to control it. And this gets oversold. And not only is that crazy, they're going to charge you 10 or 20 or 30 grand for one of these Rockefeller trusts. And they come up with these sexy names. It's an irrevocable freaking trust. And yes, if you get sued, no one can touch it. But guess what? It has its own tax bracket that is as high as over 40%. It has to do its own tax return. You cannot unwind it and change it. Did you hear the part irrevocable? And so they tell you all these sexy things like, yeah, no one can sue you and touch it. They don't talk about the freaking baggage you just signed up for the rest of your life and that, oh, you can't change it. Oh, well, you can because you're going to have a friend that trusts you. You're going to have, really? You're going to stand behind that for 10 years from now when I'm stuck with this mess and you're long gone and sold me a $30,000 piece of crap? Be careful, people. Get a second or third opinion of anybody that's promising something that sounds amazing and they're charging you over $10,000. You're not going to get a charge like that. There's not even a product in our firm that's even more than 8, period. And then we're talking about a charitable remainder unit trust, bells and whistles. That might be 8 grand, but so be careful. Anybody charging excessive fees for that. Number 2, be careful. So that would take the place of this revocable living trust is this irrevocable. Now I'll give you some cool trusts that can work, but one of those I want to warn you about is this land trust concept. And in a land trust, what this looks like is promoters will put a trust here. They're going to put a land trust up here between the LLC, and I'll put LT, and the home. So let's say this is a rental property. And you'll say, well, we'll put this land trust in here and we'll disguise the ownership so that even the public doesn't know an LLC owns it. And so we're adding this additional layer. If you design the LLC structure properly, I can avoid the land trust and all of the mess. But I've kind of poo-pooed these my whole career for the general purpose of privacy. However, we still use them from time to time for specific things. But be careful when someone's overselling this land trust is the get-all, end-all. But the purpose, again, is a revocable trust. It's a land trust that's going to own land. You have to think, who is the trustee going to be? And a lot of promoters will put a Wyoming LLC over here, which is fine. But if we're doing that, why in the hell did we just use it over here? I don't need the land trust for that. And we have this new FinCEN law that can make it complicated on what you want to disclose to the government. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make it overly complicated, but people will use these bells and whistles and these cool names like land trust and Wyoming LLC and sell an exorbitant package that can be effective for people with higher dollar assets, which could be you. But whenever that's happening, ask a lot of whys. What are the alternatives? And get a second opinion. Pay a lawyer $500 to just look over it. And this is what our expertise is. And you say, hey, I don't want you to do it for me. I just want you to tell me the good and the bad and ugly of this plan. Anyway, Matt, I hope that's making sense.
Yeah, no, be cautious with anything that says irrevocable in front of it, right?
Yeah. Sorry, you just distilled it down. Sorry. I'm like, I get paid for my time. So of course I'm going to find a long way of answering that.
No, that's great. We've got the revocable trust, the irrevocable trust. We talked a little bit about the land trust. Under what situation and what use case? Because I have a very specific use for the land trust that I've used over the years. And I know I'm going to get called out in the comments for anyone that's been listening longer than 4 or 5 years to the station or the channel. I'm curious, without telling you, what are some reasons that you'd use the land trust?
I would bet what you used it for, and many people do, and I'm not saying it's ineffective. It depends on the state and the county you're playing with it, is when you're doing a subject to purchase.
Correct.
So let me give an example of this up here on the board. Let's say this is you. You want to buy this property. There's a current owner that has a mortgage with Wells Fargo. This seller got a great mortgage. I mean, they may have a 3 to 4% interest rate, but they're in hard times. They want to sell this property. They want to get out. And if you're a real estate investor, you're looking for people that have a problem, and you're going to be the problem solver. And so you're going to come in and say, hey, seller, I'll give you some cash and give you a good chunk of your equity. But what I really want is I want that mortgage, because I don't want to have to go out and reapply for a mortgage, pay a higher interest rate, deal with all that crap. I would like to buy your property subject to that mortgage. Now, I promise you within 3 years, I'll go get my own mortgage. But if you'll carry the paper, in a sense, by letting me assume that mortgage, if I default, you can even have the property back. Really? Yeah, you'll give me all that money. You'll give me the property back if you default. Yeah, I'll do. Because you know you're not going to default because you've got a plan and you want that mortgage, and it gives you leverage in a powerful way. You say, well, I don't want to own this personally because if there's a problem with a tenant, I don't want to get sued. And I also want privacy. I'll create a trust. I'll create a land trust, and I'll have my LLC over here, and I'm going to ask this seller to transfer the property to this land trust, and I'll pay them money. But guess who the beneficiary of that land trust is? Your LLC. And they may be the trustee initially so that they can make the transfer, and they transfer the property into this land trust, and you have an agreement to give them X dollars. But at the end of the day, you're now the owner. You're the beneficial owner. So there's this beneficial ownership interest transfer and a few legal docs in the process. It's not terribly expensive to do. Lawyers create this package that you can do this with. And at the end of the day, the bank, they have no clue what happened. All they know is seller transferred the property into a trust, which is totally typical. FinCEN, federal government, doesn't even ask for a disclosure because it's a transfer to a trust of which they're the creator of the trust and trustee. But then on day 2, they get money, you get ownership through the trust, and you have an LLC to protect you. Bam. That is a typical transaction with the trust. Land trust does not work in every state. Some states say, not allowed in our state. Other states say, we would love you. Come to our state and do it. Florida, Illinois, others. So some states have literally laws on the books to allow for this. Other states say, hell no. Then there's everybody in between. So this is a typical use of the land trust. Now, but you could, if you're not doing this crazy transaction, I don't have to have this. I could have my own LLC with a special Wyoming LLC to help create privacy. I could use the land trust or not. We call it a privacy trust. So I'm going to use this privacy trust to play this role so the public doesn't see what's going on. Anyway, Matt, that's kind of where they really started to get legs and be used.
We got the trust generally covered. Is there anything else that we need to know about it?
No, I think this is good. I would say, in summary, everybody out there needs a revocable trust. I'm trying to think of when you wouldn't. If you own a home, if you have children, if you're married, if you have a business, if you have an LLC and rental property, if you have a 401k, an IRA, you want this trust to be the brokerage house of where everything goes when something happens to you. Then I can add that privacy layer. I can add this legacy layer. And all of that can be contained in a revocable living trust. We're charging $2 to $3 grand for 80% of our trust clients. Those that have a lot going on, you might pay $3 to $4 grand, but very affordable. We do have clients all over the country. Do not get sold. Oh, well, you got so much, it's 10 grand. Bullshit. It does not have to be like that. Anybody that's charging you based on how much you're worth, I have questions. Now, if they're charging you based on you have a lot of stuff, that means there's more work to transfer. But be careful. I think there's so much opportunity here to do good privacy planning, young or old, rich or poor, married or single, kids or no kids. There's something in your world where a trust would make your life a lot easier to have it.
Got it. Well, we were talking earlier, and you had this great metaphor around a camouflage jacket and a bulletproof jacket.
Well, Matt, I love your question. Thanks for letting me sit down here. There's really 2 strategies out there that can be overlapping really effectively. Is think everyone out there, this camouflage jacket. If I'm going to go hunting or go into combat, man, I would love a camouflage jacket. So if someone doesn't see me, I'm less likely to get hurt. Well, what about the bulletproof vest? Well, man, if someone does see me or shoots me, if I have to choose one, which one do I want? Man, this bulletproof vest is pretty powerful if someone takes a shot at me. But, well, maybe I want the camouflage so they don't even see me. How about both? Isn't that really the best way to go? I want privacy. I want this camouflage jacket, but over my bulletproof vest. I need both. And some people think, well, I could hide my assets and I'm good. People, anybody with enough freaking money and pissed off enough, and let's not even get started with the government, they're going to find you. They're going to see you. And then that jacket is worthless. But on the face value in the first round, smoke and mirrors, absolutely I want that jacket. But we have to be real that once that jacket comes off, if I'm naked under there, not good. I would like that bulletproof vest.
Perfect. So today the trust would be considered the camouflage jacket in our metaphor, right?
Correct.
We'll get together next week and we'll go over the bulletproof vest. Does that sound good?
I love it. Yeah, there's some cool ones out there. And there are trusts like the Domestic Asset Protection Trust where you can get both in one in very narrow circumstances for certain assets. And it's one of the coolest tools in the toolbox. We all have the same toolbox. Which one do we pull out for you depends on the work we got to do.
Perfect. All right. So make sure that you are subscribed. I haven't said that on a video in so long, but it just seems like it's the right thing to say because you want to be here for the bulletproof vest next week. And then in the meantime, if you'd like to reach out to Mark and his team and go through the discovery call, go to protectwhatsmine.com. And then there's a little calendar link there. Schedule your time, pick a good time that's good for you and convenient for them, and you'll be on your way. Well, Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's really great to reconnect, and I'm looking forward to doing so many more of these. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
Matt, thanks for having me. I love your show. Man, I can't wait to talk about our compound, the farm, where I'm hiding my gold. I mean, people, I'm with you, and I love crypto. So we got so much to talk about.
All right, buddy. I'll see you next time.
Thanks.